How would you feel if you were a police officer working the beat now, and you're told, right, we've got to go down to this person's house because their 16-year-old son has put an offensive Facebook post up. We've got to go and arrest him.
I'd say, under what act and section are we going to make this arrest? And may I see the evidence, please? Because I, for one, do not want to partake in an unlawful arrest. Show me the evidence, show me the act and section that it breaches, and then we'll have a conversation.
People are being arrested, and they're going to prison for speech. And some of it is inciting violence, isn't it?
Yeah. And there are some people out there saying utterly stupid, idiotic things. But there is also an inherent dishonesty amongst certain sections of the media, because they are pumping out headlines which say, for example, man jailed after shouting at police. Right now, shouting at the police is not a criminal offence, depending on what you shout. Okay, it's really not a criminal offence. It just simply isn't.
What if you say, like, fuck off to a police officer?
You might irritate them, and that would be a bit of a daft thing to say, for example. But if you shouted at a police officer a line of Shakespeare, whatever that may be, or, you shouted the alphabet at them, you are still allowed to shout at the police. And I'm choosing extreme examples here, but, it's not a crime. But when you read that headline, man jailed after shouting at police, people think, and they read it as man jailed for shouting at police. And then when you read the article, you'll find that the shouting at the police officer was only a very small part of other idiotic things that they did, which then rightfully led to their arrest and them being imprisoned. But there's a dishonesty in that headline.
That's true.
And that is part of that. So shut down that conversation. Let's not sit in a beer garden tonight, in a packed beer garden, having an open, frank, honest, respectful conversation about the concerns that we have.
Yeah.
Because they don't want that. They don't want those conversations being had, because I'm sure they know that beyond the 4.1 million people that voted for reform at the last election, there are millions upon millions of people harbouring those concerns.
There was that. Did you see there was that? I think it was a young girl, an autistic girl, who said that the policewoman looked like the
lesbian nana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I mean, that was just an appalling example of heavy-handed, ridiculous police action. But of course, we have so many police officers now on the front line who are very inexperienced, and they are not being showed how to do the job by experienced cops, because the age of austerity, the Cameron and Osborne and the Theresa May, who carries so much responsibility for the destruction of British policing, that woman, worst thing ever to happen to British policing. All that austerity, people knew what was coming down the line, so they were heading for the exit door, and they're trying to get them in through the front door at a rate of knots these days, but they simply can't recruit in sufficient numbers. They can't retain. Last year, resignations outstripped retirements. So people that met their actual due retirement date to collect their pension were outnumbered by people resigning because they're just going, phew, I've had enough of this job, thank you very much.
Man, it is a complicated one with regards to speech, isn't it? But I mean, do you think?
No, it's not.
Go on.
It's really not. We can still speak freely, but you've got to be thoughtful about what you say.
Well, that's what makes it complicated.
No. Well, no. We've all got a pretty firm handle, I would imagine, right? And I'm sure your audience are very bright and absolutely know what would be legal to say and what would be illegal to say. We've all got a pretty firm handle on that, haven't we? We can sit in a bar. You can sit at the end of Downing Street having a cigarette while you can, right? Saying, Keir Starmer is an idiot. Keir Starmer is an oppressor, right? And you can't be nicked for that. By the same token, you can say the Tories ruined this country through 14 years of misrule, each and every one of them, while you're having a cigarette in a pub garden, while we can, right?
Yeah.
You can say all of these things. You can say, I am sick to the back teeth of boatloads of people washing up on the shores of Dover with people in them who we simply don't know who they are. And I am deeply concerned at how much that is costing. I am deeply concerned because I never hear how strident the checks on these people are. And what I do see is articles in the paper sometimes where failed asylum seekers have gone on to commit very serious crimes, including murder. You can say all of that.
But you might get arrested.
No, I'm not going to get arrested for saying that. I haven't broken the law. I haven't broken the law in any way, shape or form.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen people getting arrested for saying, okay, for example, that trans women are not women. I've seen, there was that Irish fella, I know we're talking about a different country, there's an Irish fella at the moment going through that, a similar kind of thing. Police investigating, police coming over and saying, we want to investigate you for Facebook comments.
Well, yes, but everything that I just said,
yeah,
I could say on Facebook. I'm saying on a very public platform now, your podcast.
Let's see how well the video does.
Well, you know,
you're right.
There's not going to be any police officers beating a path to my door to arrest me because it would be an unlawful arrest. Be completely unlawful because I have not broken the law. So I'm concerned about this kind of people saying, yeah, free speech is being eroded, we can't say that anymore. No, I'd far rather that we sensibly, politely, respectfully say the things that concern us, so long as we don't say ridiculous, stupid, obviously illegal things.
Well, some people would say it's a hate crime to say to a trans woman, you're not a woman. But you should be able to say that if it's your belief.
Yeah, but you see, I don't really want to get into a conversation with a trans woman.
But someone might.
Yeah, someone might do.
And then they might get arrested for a hate crime.
But if you were to see someone that was clearly or obviously trans, right? Unless it's in a work environment where I sort of have to speak to that person, they're not somebody I would choose to speak to. So I wouldn't choose to have a conversation with him if I was sat on a train. I'm far more likely to have a conversation with a bloke who's clearly been on the tools all day, has got his grubby trousers and boots on.
But that's your prerogative, isn't it? But somebody else might say, hey, this trans, I've been speaking back and forth with, maybe we're friends, but I'm now saying to you, you're not a woman. You can't come in these toilets.
Well, it's not my specialist subject. I do not want people with penises in the same toilet as my wife. I really don't. Right?
I think you can get arrested for that if someone reported it, for saying that. But
we'll see. It's in your podcast.
Well, imagine it happening now. But I suppose it's not gone out live, has it?
No,
so.
but I'm expressing a personal preference. When my wife goes to the bathroom in public, in a public toilet, wherever that may be, whether it be in a shop, a bar, a restaurant, my preference is not to have people with penises in the same bathroom.
But people with penises are women now.
Well, I'm sticking to what I just said. That's my preference.
That's fair enough.